Welcome to Lunchtime Politics, reaching you live from our global headquarters here in the nation's commercial nerve center, Lagos. I'm Jeffrey Uzonga. Coming up on the program, 26 states across various constituencies prepare for by-election and rerun elections on February 3rd. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, seeks military support to deploy electoral materials. The impeached Speaker of the Ogun State House of Assembly, Oluomo, arraigned alongside two others over 2.5 billion naira alleged financial misappropriation. And the political face-off between the Rivers State government and its legislative arm continues as the lawmakers fold the government appointment of heads of parastatals. We begin the tracking of the polity with a countdown to Saturday, February the 3rd for the State and National Assembly by and rerun elections that will take place in multiple constituencies across 26 states of the Federation. Perhaps is why the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, is seeking the support of the Nigerian Air Force to deliver materials to 3 locations in the northeast, southeast, and the southwest geopolitical zones.
This weekend, the Commission will conduct by-elections and rerun elections in 26 states of the Federation. In 9 states, 2 senators, 4 members of the House of Representatives, and 3 members of state houses of assembly will be elected in by-elections to replace members who passed on or resigned their memberships of the national and state assemblies. In other states, rerun elections will take place at designated constituencies or polling units as ordered by the election petition appeal tribunals. In handling such a huge national assignment, the Commission cannot do it alone. That is why we seek to mobilize every national asset, including the Nigerian Air Force. It is a realization of this objective that the law empowers the Commission to seek the support of security, intelligence, and law enforcement agencies in the delivery of materials and the protection of election officials. We seek the support of the Nigerian Air Force to expeditiously deliver materials to 3 locations in the northeast, southeast, and the southwest geopolitical zones of the country.
And same with the by-elections, security agencies and the Yobe State government have assured voters of their safety during the Yobe East senatorial by-election. The Commissioner of Police in the state, Mr. Garba Ahmed, gave the assurance after a security meeting chaired by the state deputy governor at the government house in Damaturu. The CP says attention will be given to Gaidam and Yunusari areas that recently witnessed suspected Boko Haram attacks resulting in the killing of about 6 persons.
The Yobe State government, under the leadership of His Excellency Memala Buni, being ably represented by the Deputy Governor, held meeting with all security agencies with regard to security situation, as well as forthcoming election of Zone A senatorial zone, as well as 1 polling unit of House of Rep in Pika local government. The security situations has been relatively has improved tremendously. The areas of concern has also been taken care of. We have informed the state government of preparations, the deployment of various areas, as well as outer coverage of the military personnel as well as mobile policemen. As you are all aware, this area is one of the areas that has been affected adversely on the issue of insurgencies. Places like Gaidam, Kanama, as well as Gujuba, Gulani, and some other areas, including the Matru, are affected, but the military as well as the police and other security agencies have put their head together and map out strategies on ensuring a hitch-free election exercise. As such, we are assuring the public will do our best to ensure no mishap throughout this period of exercise. The public should feel free and come out, where we'll do our best to ensure the safety of each and everyone.
Let's continue now with the handling of security by the government. It remains a concern to all, and that's why a coalition of civil society groups in Abuja say they are dissatisfied with the performance of the current administration in that regard. The group maintains that the present administration under President Bola Tinubu has failed to live up to its primary responsibility of protecting the lives and property of citizens.
Representatives of 48 civil society organizations are attending this news conference in Abuja on the state of security in the country. Insecurity has been a major concern across the country, and this group says the situation is getting worse under the current administration.
Our tracking shows that at least 2,423 people have been killed in mass atrocities related incidents, and at least 1,872 persons were abducted since the beginning of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration.
We call on the government to fulfill its primary duty of protecting lives as mandated by Section 14, subsection 2B of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to guarantee its continued legitimacy.
According to the group, over 2,423 people have been killed across the country, and at least 1,872 people kidnapped in 230 incidents in the 8 months of President Tinubu's administration. The coalition wants the government to declare a state of emergency on security.
Because what we are saying with the state of emergency is very clear. We are saying that this is an urgent situation. Recognize that it is urgent. Allocate a timeline within which you will resolve this problem, or at least roll back insecurity. The conspiracy of the security agents and the financial institutions, we need to dismantle it. The money goes to the banks. The criminals go and collect it. And then you go there and say, can we find the person, the owner of this account? They will tell you it will take 30 days.
The president needs to, as a matter of urgency, to address the nation and say, this and this are the things we want to do, and in the next 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, we expect the situation to change.
Terrorism, banditry and kidnapping have been identified as criminal activities causing widespread havoc in many communities across Nigeria. Citizens at different fora are urging the government to take more decisive steps to put an end to these menaces.
To more stories now, the national chairman of the All Progressives Congress, state chairman I should say, Mr. Sylvester Ezioma in Anambra State, is assuring the Independent National Electoral Commission and all Nigerians that the party will continue to be a viable one in the country. That should be the All Progressives Grand Alliance, I beg your pardon. While hosting officials of INEC who are on verification exercise, Mr. Ezekoma says the party is already in the process of reviewing its manifesto to make it more attractive to Nigerians. The verification exercise is an annual event by the electoral umpire.
And we can assure you that APGA is one of the political parties that is very, very viable as far as our country, the Federal Republic of Nigeria, is concerned. I know that the Commission has kind of brought out some criteria for political parties that have been in existence to continue in existence. And I know the verification exercise is one of them. At least you wish to know the political parties, the headquarters or the operational headquarters of the party. you meet the national officers of the party, at least you are sure that these people are actually in existence. I know the commission has in the past deregistered some political parties ostensibly for non-viability. And so the assurance we are giving you is that APGA is a very healthy party, as far as we are concerned. During the last election, APGA got 1 Senate seat, had about 8 House of Representative members across the country in the National Assembly, and had about 30 House of Assembly members. And the present NWC incidentally came into office when we had the national convention of the party on the 31st of May 2023. That was after the 2023 general elections.
And there's a lot when it comes to Nigerian politics. We'll continue to track it. That's why this is coming on the show. But let's shift gears now to what we just learned, stories just in about Transparency International ranking of Nigeria, that it has released the 2023 Corruption Perception Index, that's a CPI, and has ranked Nigeria 145 out of 180 corrupt countries. The 5 steps, this is 5 steps up the ladder as compared to its rank of 150 on the 2022 CPI result. The index further reveals that Nigeria scored 25 out of 100 points in the 2023 CPI as compared to 24 it scored in 2022. That's an improvement by 1. According to the Civil Society Legislative Advocacy Center, CISLAC, that presented the index, the Nigeria score is below the sub-Saharan African average of 33. While the index does not show the specific indices or incidences of corruption in the country, it indicates the perception of corruption in Nigeria. CISLAC points that this year's CPI release is not an assessment of Nigeria's anti-corruption agencies, which it says are making commendable efforts in the fight against corruption in the country. CISLAC and CPI listed key areas to explain why Nigeria showed some improvement and areas where gaps still exist, some of which are the positive points. And they include the positive part of this is that there is an improvement in the arrests and recoveries by anti-corruption agencies, according to this agency, vibrant media, CSOs, and citizenry in demanding transparency and accountability. But they listed some weaknesses, as pointed out by this report, and they include electoral corruption, judicial corruption, corruption in the security sector, wasteful expenditure, opaqueness of public institutions, failure to prosecute high-profile cases and citizens, and reward of corrupt and questionable individuals with public office appointments. So these are some of the things that this report is releasing. So an improvement by 1, but there are so many other weaknesses that have been listed and other positives as well. We're being joined in the program to discuss further on some of the things in the state of the nation, including the economy, as well as this report by an economist, Mr. Marcel Okeke. He joins us via Zoom. Mr. Marcel Okeke, thank you so much for coming on the program.
And thank you so much for having me on this program.
I think this CPI release result or report is a good place to start. If you heard, they said we are 145 out of 180, that's our position. But in terms of the scoring and the way CPI ranks is, as you go towards 100, you're highly corrupt. When you come towards 0, you're very clean. And Nigeria has made an improvement by 1 from 24 to 25. I don't know what will be your immediate reaction to these reports.
Thank you very much. My immediate reaction to the report is that it's to a large extent a true reflection of what Nigeria is. Because you are the one that mentioned it, we talked about corruption as to elections and all that. All of us are here, and we know what happened with the elections last year, where, every position that was contested, the issues around it had to get to the Supreme Court for that to, be determined. And rather than INEC having the final say, in determining who is the winner and all that, everything has to go to the Supreme Court, including the presidency and all that. And who are satisfied with the outcome of the court pronouncement at the end of the day. So everybody believes there is so much corruption along the line. and so on. So that's with respect to election and all that. And then when you talk about the economy, that's problem number one with the economy. When you look at the public officials that are now being investigated, including ministers, that were recently appointed, then you begin to imagine the extent of corruption in the system. Okay? I don't want to start painting everybody black, but the truth is that corruption is about the number one problem of this economy. Okay? Because if all things were to be done transparently and handled with honesty and all that, the economy will not be what it is today. But on the budget, you see trillions of naira budgeted for this and that. At the end of the day, you end up using an insignificant fraction of that amount that is budgeted, for the actual work, and you end up having abandoned projects all over the place. Okay, the major chunk of the money goes into private pockets, where corruption and all that. Okay, if you attempt to go to any government office for any kind of service to be rendered to you, I mean, for you to get the service rendered to you, you must pay through your nose. That's assuming it's only money that they ask from you and of you, and so on and so forth. So corruption is quite pervasive. We are talking about public sector. It also goes to the private sector, and so on and so forth. So it is quite pervasive in Nigeria. And I'm surprised that we're even ranking, well, in the Transparency International ranking and grading. Otherwise, Nigeria is down there. It's down there, honestly.
All right, Mr. Okeke. You posited an important point. So the reason why we made some level of improvement, according to this report, is that they mentioned the arrests and recoveries by anti-corruption agencies, a vibrant media, vibrant CSOs, and citizenry in demanding transparency and accountability. So primarily, they are looking at one or two agencies of government and citizens getting involved in governance to demand accountability. And then they listed all of these weaknesses. But someone actually said that Nigeria's problem is beyond corruption. It's the impunity that is driving the corruption. Do you agree?
Well, the thing is that corruption has gotten ingrained so that people see it as a way of life. It's become culture. It's become culture. So I agree completely. It has become culture. People don't even realize that what they're doing is corruption. And that is why you talked about impunity. Somebody because start being penitent or being sorry for what he's doing only when he realizes that it's the wrong thing to do. But when people are doing things, I think that that's the way to go. I mean, that's what has been in place over the years. I mean, why do you talk about impunity? You are the one using the word. They no longer use it. It's culture. That's the way the things are done. Go to any ministry, and they're asking you for kickback, kick front, and bribes and all that. Nobody feels anyhow about it because that's the way things are done. Okay? Go and look at public procurement, how they are done. Okay? Go and look at... Okay.
I want to get your buy-in on as many things as possible as far as the economy is concerned, which is your expertise. My first question with regard to the economy core is the fact that we have seen the inflation numbers spike or surge from 28.2 or so in November, and now we have 28.92 in December, and by February we're going to see the numbers in January. In your view as an economist, some have argued that this is a hybrid situation of demand pull and cost push. However it is, it looks like we seem not to know our way around this. So from an economic model point of view in macroeconomics, what do you suggest has to be done for us to have a bearing? Because it's biting harder by the day. A lot of citizens are losing hope. You wonder how the poor survives.
Well, thank you very much. Part of what will be the solution was what we were discussing before I joined this program, and that is the issue of insecurity in the land. Because if you look at the inflation figure, if you decouple it, you have the food inflation. The food inflation is the highest, meaning that there's scarcity of food in the land. Under that situation, can the farmers go to farm? You know, locations in this country that are called food basket of the Nigerian economy. Okay, it is those locations that you hear of these terrible things happening every day. People are being killed in hundreds and being displaced and so on and so forth. So who is the farmer that will go to farm, you know? And even when you farm in a remote village or hamlet and all that, where is the road? Cost of transportation for you to bring it to where the market, where you're going to sell. When you factor all these things, especially insecurity, you find out that famine and the food supply have become an endangered kind of species. And that is what is reflecting. And you talk about the importation of that, then you see the challenge we have with our scarce foreign exchange. You talk about importation. So when you import it and import at a very high cost, and you bring it to sell, the price at which you are going to sell will reflect, you know, that it costs you so much to bring in. And that is what also is showing in the foreign exchange market, because our challenge is supply of forex. Our challenge is that we're not getting what we're supposed to get from the sale of oil. Our challenge is that oil production itself is endangered because of oil theft. You understand? Our challenge is that over the years, we are no longer able to meet OPEC allocated quota to Nigeria. Our challenge is that OPEC is even threatening to reduce that quota allocated to us because of our inability to meet that allocation. Our challenge is that even when we end the forex, small thing we are earning, we now deploy it to importing refined product. You understand? So when so much goes to importation, about almost 100% of PMS we use in this economy is imported. So as long as we have that status, you know, that status quo of importing, spending our forex on importation and all that, we keep having this kind of situation, okay? Because the higher the amount the people importing have to deploy to procurement or securing the dollar with which they import, the higher the price of the pump price of fuel is going to be, all things being equal. That is why there's even the suspicion now that there is some kind of subsidy behind the scene, because those who are importing it at a very high cost in terms of naira they deploy to procure.
Mr. Okeke, in wrapping up, my apologies for cutting in because we're totally out of time. In wrapping up, the government has consistently maintained that there is hope, the pain will soon be over from an economic point of view. Do you agree with them? Just 30 seconds.
I don't agree. Because all these things I'm telling you, there is no quick fix with respect to any of them. There's nothing you can fix. If it's to fix the oil production and oil export and all that, it doesn't take one day to happen. And that's why it has not happened in the past 8 months. From day one, we've been told to keep tightening our belts, and we are still tightening. Okay, what government is dealing with is palliative. That is dealing with the fallouts of his policies. The government has not started, you know, kickstarting the economy to even run. They are still dealing with the fallouts of the policies they put in place, as far as I'm concerned. You understand?
Okay, all right. All right, Mr. Marcel Okeke, an economist, joins us via Zoom. Thank you so much for your insight, as always. We'll always reach out to you whenever we have these questions for your expertise. Thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
We're going on a quick break now. When we come back, we'll bring you more political stories. Join us again. The ever-intriguing politics of Rivers State, where the House of Assembly has faulted Governor Siminalayi Fubara's appointment of heads of 3 parastatals, describing it as illegal and a misconduct for not following due process. The affected agencies are the Local Government Service Commission, the Bureau of Public Procurement, and the New City Development Commission, NCDB. The lawmakers made their position known during the emergency plenary session at the State House of Assembly quarters in Port Harcourt, the state capital, where they also wrote to the governor to withdraw the appointments made into those parastatals.
The Rivers State House of Assembly members arriving for an emergency plenary after their last sitting when they overruled the governor and enacted 4 laws. As they settle down, this time around, the House is tackling Governor Fubara over his recent appointments, just as the majority leader draws the attention of the Speaker to these appointments.
His Excellency Sir Siminalayi Fubara, GSS RS, Governor of Rivers State, has approved the following appointments. Mr. Goodluck Ben as acting chairman of Local Government Service Commission. Engineer Dr. Mrs. Ine Briggs as
The Speaker explains that there is a proper mode of appointment as provided for in the law, adding that there is no provision for an acting chairman.
The position of the chairman of the Rivers State Local Government Service Commission is clearly provided for by this law and by this section, meaning that the only thing available for the governor to do is to submit his nominees to us for screening and confirmation.
During the session, some of the lawmakers also raised questions about the legal existence of the New Cities Development Authority.
So if the governor at this point wants to set up such an institution, I think what he needs to do is to bring it as a bill to this house, to look into it and see and get the approval of the house.
In a tyrannical manner.
The State Assembly Speaker also accuses the governor of tyranny, even as they resolve to write a letter to Governor Fubara warning him against continuing with his actions.
All that the governor needs to do if he wants to create that authority is to send in an executive bill to us. Distinguished colleagues, what we need to do at this point in time is to write to the governor. I think what we need to do is to write to the governor and draw his attention to these anomalies.
Away from that, the recently impeached Speaker of the Ogun State House of Assembly, Mr. Oluomo, has been arraigned before a federal high court in Abeokuta over a 2.5 billion naira misappropriation allegation. The former speaker was arraigned alongside two other principal career officers for allegedly committing financial fraud while he was in office as speaker. He also has appeared before an 8-man ad hoc committee set up by the House to look into allegations leveled against him by 18 members of the Assembly. And that's it on the program. Thank you so much for your time and, of course, your usual company. I'm Jeffrey Uzongo. You've been served on Lunchtime Politics.